Bad news. The federal government has announced that the poverty rate in the United States has doubled. Democratic lawmakers are now pushing to restore the new tax credits. This would provide automatic deposits for thousands of dollars. Now, the U.S. Census Bureau released new data this week showing child poverty doubling in 2022. The supplemental poverty measure showed that child poverty rate rose from 5% to 22% in 2022. The increase in child poverty is attributed to a number of factors, including the inflation and the expiration of crisis-era relief programs. These programs helped with the widespread job loss and economic hardship, but the expiration of these crisis-era programs has contributed to decreases and increases in poverty. Even some Democratic representatives have said there is no modern policy that has been successfully expanded. Now, millions of people were lifted out of poverty, but hunger was cut by 20%. Now, families use this extra money to pay for housing, food, childcare, and so they could get to work, and other basic essentials for everyday life. Moreover, for every $1 invested, the child tax credit provided $8 in social and economic benefits. Even Representative DeLauro said that the monthly child tax credit was a huge success and the best solution to reduce child poverty. She said it is time to bring it back and provide middle-class and working-class families with the permanent economic security they deserve. Democrats in the Biden administration are at this again, trying to renew the expanded child tax credit. The state of Connecticut's own temporary child tax credit expired in 2022 as well, and the program, which was not renewed as part of the budget negotiations, allowed eligible families to receive tax rebates of $250 per child for up to 3 children. Advocates for the program are hoping the new data inspires its renewal next year. Even New Jersey Senator Cory Booker says Congress allowed child poverty to spike. Even people are saying that there's no options for tackling this. Opponents say entitlement programs like the expanded child tax credit are too costly and contribute too much to the ballooning national debt. But Booker argues that the price tag of not acting is even greater. Poor Americans primarily use the monthly child tax credit for basic necessities like groceries, utilities, and rent. Republican lawmakers unilaterally opposed expanding the credit in the first place and then extending it to conservative Joe Manchin, who voted for the American Rescue Plan. He also opposed expanding and extending the credit. When congressional Democrats passed the Inflation Reduction Act, a significant climate tax policy bill, it was not even crafted for Manchin. It did not include the expanded child tax credit. The senator has appeared largely unfazed by the new census data on child poverty. Even to reporters, it's deeper than the expanded credit. It can ruin everything.
Corruption and wholesale purchase of members of the Supreme Court. And I also find it amusing that we just heard from the Republican side, why do we want to talk about this? Because women have lost the right to choose, because Indigenous people have lost rights, because minorities have lost rights, because working people across the country have lost rights due to this level of corruption. And if we're going to talk about third parties, let's talk about the Federalist Society, which has not only had deep ties to Justice Clarence Thomas and his wife Ginny, but has also helped choose judicial nominees for the Republican Party and directed multi-million-dollar media campaigns to confirm them, including...
I'm sure you're getting the same calls I'm getting. Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people with type 1 diabetes and need this insulin to stay alive. Let's finish the job this time. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35. Folks,
went to bills, and this time he is lucky to be able to do a little something nice for himself. Another DMV resident telling us on Twitter she's, quote, not doing anything particularly interesting with her check. Those eligible getting $1,400 payments or more for married couples and those with children. If you have the ability to put the payment toward other things, financial experts say setting aside some money to reward yourself can be...
And they will definitely bring down inflation. They will cause some pain to households and businesses and bring some pain to them because that's just how it is. The Fed has hiked interest rates for 4 times, and this year already in an effort to stanch price increases. When the Fed raises interest rates, money becomes more expensive to borrow, harder to get, and more worthwhile to save. According to The Hill, the Fed wants demand for goods and services to fall closer to supply, which has dwindled as a result of obstacles created by the crisis. In an ideal world, the Fed can can raise the interest rates gradually enough to bring down inflation without slowing the economy. But economists generally agree that inflation has risen too high for the Fed to bring it down, without causing at least some hardship. And the Fed's rapid rate hikes will bring an end to the 2 years of rapid wage growth, record job openings, and remarkably low layoffs. The US still added 315,000 jobs last month, and wages rose 5.2% over the past year. But economists do suspect that some job growth is going to be slow and the unemployment rate to rise as businesses feel the squeeze of higher interest rates. That means many more workers who have not yet gotten back onto raises will not get one and may have few other unemployment options with better compensation. A round of relief checks are expected to be mailed and deposited to millions of people. These payments can be worth up to $270. The lawmakers have already announced new plans for their state, and they will provide residents an extra boost of money. So friends, more and more stimulus checks are going to be sent out. That's official. New York Governor Kathy Hochul and legislative leaders announced that a stimulus payment of about $270 will be sent to 1 million New Yorkers to combat inflation and improve the affordability. The New York Department of Finance and Taxation will soon begin directing financial assistance to New Yorkers. They who received the Empire State Child Credit or the Earned Income Credit on their tax returns. New Yorkers can expect to receive the checks by the end of October. The Hochul said, "With this relief package, we're making good on our commitment to helping hardworking people in New York through the nationwide affordability crisis. The program will put money back into the pockets of nearly 2 million New York families to make ends meet and face the crisis, inflation, and other rising costs." Hochul and members of his state approved the additional New York State Child and Earned Income Tax payment. The program provides an average payment of $270 a month. Eligible New Yorkers do not need to take any action to receive the checks. Checks will be mailed automatically. Early this year, Hochul accelerated the distribution of $2 billion in tax relief to more than 2 million New Yorkers through the new homeowner tax rebate credit. Hochul also announced a statewide gas and diesel tax holiday to provide New Yorkers relief at the pump as fuel prices have hit record high. According to state officials, New Yorkers who have recently moved should update their address with the Department of Taxation and Finance. To prevent delays in receiving your additional state checks, your additional state child and earned income tax payment check. Colorado is also mailing and doing their work with 700
are likely to continue for quite a while. But as usual, it doesn't seem to concern Democrats one bit. The president was asked Tuesday if he was concerned about August's even worse than expected inflation report. His answer? No, I'm not. It was just one more tone-deaf moment for the president and the Democrats. On Tuesday, the president and Democrats gathered at the White House to congratulate themselves for having passed their so-called Inflation Reduction Act, a bill that will do nothing to reduce inflation. And that's not just my opinion, Madam President. That was the conclusion